So welcome to the Books and Booze panel for pantsers versus plotters. I myself am a pantser, so welcome. Our panelists today are Nicole Zoltack, Heidi Hutchinson, Mark Spears, and one of the Books and Booze organizers, Tara Mahuron. Your moderator was supposed to be Amy Fortenberry, and so I just want to take a moment and wish her well. She's feeling ill today, and so she has asked me to step in. My name is Meg Farrell, and for some of us, we're meeting for the first time, so should be a good panel. All right, let's just dive right in and make sure that we cover some ground that's going to make this really valuable to people who rewatch the recording later. So first, I'm going to ask Heidi, have you always been a plotter or a pantser, and has that changed over time as you've developed your writing career?
I think I've always been a pantser because I really just like discovering the story as I go. I tried to plot a couple of times. I'm very good at making an outline and then throwing it away. So it's just not, it doesn't work out for me for the story. It's much better for the story and for the characters if I just make it up as I go.
Mark, how about you?
I would agree with what Heidi said. I'm exactly the same way. However, I write under a pen name in some romance series. I plot out every one of those books, and they've actually sold under that romance series. I outline every chapter, the entire book.
How about you, Nicole?
Let's see, I started out as a pantser. Like, I could not write the story. If I knew how it would end, I would get bored of the story because as I was writing along, I was learning what was happening along with the characters. So if I figured out the end first, I just would not finish the story. I actually have stories that I still have not finished because of that. But over time, I've actually started to become more of a plotter. And first, it was just like a bare bones skeleton plot, just that way I would have an idea of where the story was going. And I started to realize that if I did that, I would be able to write faster. I wouldn't go off on tangents, whatnot. And now I'm like pretty much a hardcore plotter. Like my outlines will be like 2 to 3K. And now I can write over 1,000 words in 20 minutes. So knowing where the story is going has made me be able to be so much more productive. So I'm a plotter all the way now.
How about you, Tara?
Oh, I'm a pantser. I have no idea what's happening in my life. Like, that carries over into my books. I have plotted one book, and it was basically my Christmas book I did with the dates. And literally the only thing I plotted was the dates. Everything that I was like, meh, we'll see what happens. That's how I do things.
Nothing like flying by the seat of your pants. I love it.
Right, like I have no idea.
All right, so let's see. Let's go to Mark. What is your process? So walk us through a day in the life.
Oh, Lord. Everything's totally chaos. So you mean my writing process? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I write whenever I can. I don't have a set. Hey, I wake up at 8 o'clock and I write from 8 to 12. I like to get up about 4:10 in the morning and write for a couple hours, go to the gym, and then come back home and write for a little bit more. I may try to sneak in some time at the end of the day, maybe before I go to bed or something. But it's really all over the place. This whole working from home remote pandemic thing it's changed a little bit of everything.
For sure. So that's one of our pantsers. Let's go to our plotter, Nicole. What is a day in the life for you?
Okay, well, I have 5 kids. And so I stay at home and I write, whatnot. Plus, this year, I'm homeschooling Teresa. She's 4 and she just misses the cutoff for kindergarten. So I'm homeschooling her for kindergarten this year. So next year she can go to school for first grade as long as she tests and passes, which I don't think that'll be a problem. So my day starts, I wake up in the morning, I get the boys all ready for school, and then I have an hour for writing. And then I do an hour of homeschooling Teresa. She's actually right here. Want to say hi? Hi. So I'll do an hour with her, and then she'll go downstairs and she'll watch PBS educational shows because I think that's more schooling. And then I'll have another hour of writing, and then I will eat, and I'll get Teresa food, and I'll tend to the baby and do everything that I can with her. And then in the afternoon, after we're done eating, it's another hour for her for school, and then an hour for me for writing, and then she'll have music and art. And by that time, it's time to get the boys from school, and so basically I try to get all of my writing done as much as I can during the day, so I can write. If I have my outlines and everything, I can usually hit about 10K a day.
Wow, that's amazing. Heidi, so what does your process look like, and how did you figure out what your process, that it works for you?
I just have to have a playlist made first, and that's basically all I have. Like if I have a music, like the music set up ahead of time, and then coffee, and then whatever comes out, comes out. Sometimes I can write, you know, a bunch of words in a day, like 4,000 or 5,000 words, or I can write 200-300 words that I'll probably delete tomorrow, you know? So it's just, it's very, like I know the story's moving forward, and that's all I keep focusing on. I'm like, okay, the story's gonna go somewhere. And that's my biggest plan. So, and I write whenever I can. Like if the kid's at school, then I can write when he's at school, or sometimes I stay up way too late and I write, and those are usually the worst scenes that I've written, are the ones when I'm super tired. Yeah, so it's just whenever I get a moment, I write.
Yeah, so Tara, are you like me? Do you hear the voices in your head? Do you see scenes playing out?
I do, and I have to have music. I'm like Heidi. Like I have to have the mood set. I can't just sit down and be like, I feel like I'm going to write today. Like I have to have everything perfect, and my characters have to be like talking to me or screaming at me sometimes. And then I have to just zone in, and then I write. I don't have a set time. I don't know. Like sometimes I challenge one of my other author friends. We do writing sprints because that can motivate me. But other than that, I like sit down, and I'm like Heidi. Sometimes I'll write 5,000 words. Sometimes I write 2, like not 200, like 2, and then I stare at it, and I'm like, probably need to read what I have written 5 months ago because it's been that long since I've written, you know. So there's not. It's amazing that I finish books. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys this. Like, if you're ever like, I wonder if she's on crack. Maybe when I wrote the book, it might have been.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so when you take into account that you're a pantser or you're a plotter, and you think about your process and how you get to the end product, does that leak into your regular life? Do you find that you are more organized in your regular life, or you fly by the seat of your pants in your regular life? And we can ask Mark to start this one.
I started out as a pantser. I've always been like that. I forget who said that they wrote. I think Nicole mentioned that she wrote more words than she outlined, and I did find that with the romance series that I'm writing. When I outline and I kind of know where I'm going, then I do write more words. If I'm working on stuff under my real name and I don't outline, then I'm lucky to get maybe a couple of thousand in a day. I'm actually thinking about rewriting my first book that I published. And so I am creating an outline for that book just to see maybe what the difference is. I do have a group of readers looking at that first book right now, just to give me some feedback, because when I wrote it, I got no feedback. I didn't send anybody. This is the way it's going to be. I don't care if you like it or not. And just recently I decided, you know what, I need to look at that, maybe outline it, and see what kind of changes I can make. And that's the good thing about self-publishing is that you can go back and do that. So
That's true. So what about you, Nicole? Does it bleed into your regular life? I mean, your day sounds regimented. I'm
Oh, it's
impressed.
regimented. As far as when the boys are in school, it's very regimented. And then when it comes when the boys are home from school, that all this hell.
But let's be real. That's raising boys in general.
Yeah, I have 3 boys and 7th grade, 5th grade, 3rd grade, so they're very close in age and everything, and they love each other dearly, but they also, they're doing karate. So, like they'll, be all up in each other's grill, and they'll be grappling and fooling around and roughhousing and trying to play football in the house. I hate that. So yeah, I mean, for the most part, I will say, like if we're trying to go somewhere, like, and I'm in charge, like if Todd's at work, whatnot, I will get all the kids and we will be in church on time. And then the Sundays when Todd is off, we're almost always late. So it's on him. I can corral the kids and get us all together and ready and all that. I can be organized as far as getting to places on time. But outside of that, no, my life is more chaos. Yeah.
How about you, Heidi?
I'm only comfortable pantsing when it comes to writing. I don't want to say my life is super organized, but I do my best. I like things to be planned out and, in order and things put away, stuff like that. Though my house is a disaster and things don't always go as I plan. Like we're usually late and things are usually lost, but I would prefer it to be organized. I'm only comfortable pantsing when it's writing. That's it.
Yeah. So it's almost like your writing and being a pantser kind of frees you from the regimentation of having an organized life. What do you think, Tara?
I'm organized at work. Like I'm very like OCD at work. Like I have set schedules. I have like calendars. I have everything written down. If it's outside of work, I have no schedule. Like I have no bearings. Like, I mean, if anything, you should have noticed from the planning of this event. And well, let me rephrase that. So this event was very well planned until we went virtual. And then I'm like, oh, what do we do? Because it's kind of new territory to have to be completely virtual like this for an event. But I feel like, no, my life is just chaos for the most part. I'm like, so this is what we're doing today. It's awesome. Let's do it.
So I can be a control freak because I've done a lot of project management. My writing, if people are not talking to me in my head, then it's not happening. And so, Mark brought up how the pandemic has changed things. And for me, it's put me in that place where my imaginary friends aren't talking. And so what I've been trying to do is engage in creative pursuits outside of writing that might inspire me to write and motivate me and get things flowing again. So how do you handle that? How do you, as a pantser or a plotter, and we can go around the horn again, how do you overcome the block or when your imaginary friends ignore you?
I'll jump in. I'll start. What do I do? Music, or I watch my favorite shows, or a movie, or I need other people's creativity to give me creative ideas. I need that jump start to kind of be like, I need you to tell me what's happening because I can't write your story if I don't know it. A lot of times it seems like in the shower is when they tend to get very talkative. And I don't know if it's because I'm just like relaxed and my brain's like, oh, there's these other voices.
What do you think, Mark?
Shower, treadmill, a walk in the woods. If I can get away from the chaos that is all around me, it's easier to think about what needs to happen in a story. Going back to your last question, I wing absolutely everything in life. We went out west in July. We just decided one day we would fly out there and then drive around. So we did a loop of 1,600 miles with no plan. I mean, it worked out fine. But yeah, I've got to be somewhere quiet. A walk in the woods is good. Shower is great. Treadmill with some headphones on. That's about the only way that I can get any calm thoughts through my head.
I can see that. I think your trip probably worked out really well because you hadn't set expectations for it, and so you got to enjoy the moment as it was happening, and I think that's wonderful. Heidi,
Exactly. And I'm a project manager as well, and I cannot move that work project management into my personal life or to my writing.
yeah.
It's totally
I mean, you got to draw the line, right? You got to have that
Yeah.
separation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Heidi, how are you managing when your imaginary friends won't speak anymore?
I have to get off social media. I have to go like dark. I can't be on social media. I can't be watching the news. I can't get involved in any Twitter, anything's, that's other people's feelings, like, because everybody's feeling very big right now, and other people's feelings will interfere then with what I need to be thinking or what I need to be doing. So I'm super introverted, so I tend to just sort of go in, and music helps, but I have to be careful about it because otherwise it can take me in a sad direction if I'm not like careful about it. And then exercise is really good, making sure that I'm eating right, and therapy, lots of therapy.
So it sounds like you practice a good bit of self-care and, putting up your walls and protecting your emotions and your thought process. And that's super important for people to understand. It's okay. You can step away and get that space that you need.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. What about you, Nicole?
I tend to talk to my husband for ideas, and he's not really a writer. He's not much of a reader, although he did read the Harry Potter books, and he read all the Game of Thrones books. So I'm like, why haven't you read my books? So he's slowly starting to read them. A lot of times I will say that we'll bounce off ideas, whatnot, and I usually don't take any of his ideas, but they will get me thinking. And so then I'll take it and then spring forward to another idea and be like, oh, okay, that works. So thank you. My oldest son, Nicholas, who's in 7th grade, he started to read my books. And all my books are either YA or YA friendly. So, it's fine. He can read them. And he's reading them faster than my husband. Like, I think at this point, like, he's only just started to read my books this summer. And he's probably read as many, if not more, than my husband has. And I have a huge backlist. So I've been starting to talk to Nicholas and bouncing ideas off of him more and whatnot. So.
That's wonderful. Like my daughter, we did a short story for a carnival inspired anthology, and she was mad at me for weeks for the way that story ended. So, and she was probably 15 or 16 at the time. So it's been a couple of years, but Joe put in the comments that all of her imaginary friends have got the Rona because they're not speaking to her either. And I just wanted to give a quick plug because what she's done is she has shifted gears and she embraced her love of baking and developing that craft and creative pursuit, and has released kind of a cookbook, as it were. So I just wanted to plug Joe for her ability to pivot and to find a way through the madness. So for the plotters, what is your favorite plotting method? Like, what do you do to plot?
All right, I'll jump in. What I do is I just, number how many chapters I want in the story, and then I'll just write, as much as I feel like I need to be able to then flesh it out. I'm so regimented now with my stories that each chapter is like 2K. And then, so most of my books are 60K, so I'll write 30 chapters. So I'll just write down as much as I need to in order to be able to have 2K for that chapter and the next chapter and the next chapter. And I'll also have I'll have a spreadsheet that has my characters, their names, and their physical appearances. So that way I don't have them have blue eyes on one page and green eyes on another, because I know that if I don't mark that down, that's going to happen. Like, that will happen. So.
Yeah, that's definitely a pantser problem because we're flipping back like, is her hair red? I'm not sure what I wrote.
Yeah.
So Mark, you're our other plotter of sorts. How do you, what is your favorite plotting method?
I don't know that I have a favorite method. I mean, my writing is just kind of all over the place, which is why I write under so many different names. Um, I will sit down on the machine that I'm on right now. I have sticky notes on my screen, and I have the chapters listed. I have just maybe 100 words under each chapter of what I think needs to happen in the chapter. The last book that I wrote, that I did use a outline for, that I did plot, I got to the last two chapters and totally changed them from the outline that I had. So it seems I can still plot out the book and make the changes when I think it's necessary, and it turns out okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important to note, that just because you have an outline and you wrote a plot doesn't mean that it's always going to go to that. Like, it's just your general framework. It's your idea of where you would like to go, but you have to be able to, like I've said before, that's my favorite word these days, is to pivot. Like, you have to be able to adjust on the fly and make the story fit. So that's an excellent point. So for both pantsers and plotters, how do you get in the mood to write? I think for Tara and Heidi, they've said music a number of times, but if it was anything other than music, give us that, and you can just kind of go around the horn.
I have to be in a certain location in my house, and I have to have everything within reach of what I'm going to need to make myself sit down and do it. So I have my drinks, I have tissues if I need it, I have pillows, I have blankets, I have the table I'm going to set at. Everything has to be easily accessible, because if not, and I have to put my phone down, because I will get distracted by TikTok or Facebook or messaging all of my friends or anything to keep from having to write. I have cleaned my house to avoid writing before. So I have to put myself and be listen, we are doing this right now.
How about you, Heidi?
To get myself in the mood to write, music, yeah. Also, I found that if I turn off my internet, that's it shuts everything down. And I have this app called Focus Keeper, and it times me, and it is I can hear it through my music, so it clicks, and it's it reminds me of a countdown. I'm okay, so I'm under the gun, I need to get this done now, I need to write something. And it doesn't matter if I only write a few words or a bunch of words. It feels like as long as I put the words down, I've accomplished something.
That's wonderful. So we know Tara's a creature of comfort, and Heidi is a master of her focus. So what about you, Nicole?
Yeah, I'm pretty much a master of focus too. I use an app on my phone, and it will count down for 20 minutes. And as it's counting down, it plays wave sounds, like white music in the background. And so I'll use that, and I'll just, type for as long as I hear it, and then it'll ding that the timer's done, and then it gives you a minute break, and then you can go through it again. And now all the kids and Todd, they all know, if that music is playing, that means that I'm in the middle of a sprint, just hold on and wait till it's done, please. So it's nice because, they know and recognize, and the boys have come into my room, hear that the music is on, and they'll turn around and leave. Yes, I'm training them. Of course, if it's important, obviously I will stop.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's bleeding, obviously.
Right, yeah, blood. Okay, that's something I will stop for. Yeah, so it works for me.
How about you, Mark?
Again, I start writing at 4 a.m. when the house is completely quiet. I don't listen to music while I write. I don't listen to anything. I want everything to be completely quiet. At 4 o'clock, the dogs aren't barking. They're still in bed. I don't have the problem with kids. My kids are older, but I love my wife's asleep. She's not bothering me. The dogs are asleep. There's nobody to bother me. It's dark out. It's just the way I like it.
Yeah, I can see that. I live in a world of chaos, and I do have my own space for writing, but I'm like Tara, I've got to be comfortable, or the words just do not come. So any parting thoughts as a pantser? So one of my pantsers, give me some parting thoughts about why you're a pantser.
For me, it's the excitement of not knowing the story and finding out things. Because even if I'm not actively writing, I've been driving down the road before and be like, aha, that's what happens, you know? And it's, for me, it's just exciting. It's the same thing with reading. Like, I'm definitely not the person that reads the end of the book. I need to read the whole story. So for me, when I'm writing, it's the same thing. Like, plus I'm very linear. I need things to happen in order. And so I have to write in order. And that's why pantsing for me works, because it happens in order.
How about you, Heidi?
Yeah, I'm a lot of the same on that. It's pantsing for me is it's just how my brain works. So that's what works. And people will ask me, you know, like, which is better or whatever. And it's like, it's whatever your brain needs, that's what you need to follow. Like, if your brain needs to be plotting, you have to plot. I can't give you plotting tips because I can't, but for pantsing, just, you know, if you got the words, write them down. You can always delete them later, you know. They don't have to be the perfect words. They can be really bad words.
Yeah, you can't edit a blank page, right? That's the old advice, right?
And so you can write down any and all ideas that you have. I think in one chapter, I tried out 12 to 14 different names for my main character. Like, I just kept calling her something different all in the same chapter, trying to figure out which one fit. Because, you know, you got to figure it out. You can figure out which one she answers to.
That's right. That's right. Like naming a pet or a child.
Yeah.
That's the kind of way I see it. All right. So we are coming up on our time for this panel, and I just wanted to send a round of thank yous again to Nicole and to Tara and Heidi and Mark for participating. I did record this, and so we'll post this as a link in the group. If there's any element of this that you'd like to discuss further or to keep the conversation going, you know, once that link goes up, go ahead and start some comments, and let's keep the conversation going. If you have resources as a plotter, definitely post that, because I know we're going to have a number of authors or readers or aspiring authors that kind of keep up with these panels, and those resources are invaluable. So again, thank you for taking the time with us today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of Books and Booze.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.